Hello, this is JJ from Paranormal Talks, paranormaltalks.com. We are an educational organization around the paranormal and supernatural and other woo-woo stuff that our public education doesn't want us to know about. It's a whole other part of ourselves that is very important in navigating successfully through life, and it's beyond the reading, writing, and arithmetic, far beyond. It can really get us what we want. So that's Paranormal Talk, educational, and this is the last video, the sixth of six videos that contain predictive information from yet another source, and this source is from John Titor. John Titor's visit to us from the year 2036 consists of about 4 hours of transcripts, Q&A transcripts. He was also interviewed on Coast to Coast Radio in, I believe, the year 2000, 2001 by George Noory. Not Bell, not Art Bell, but he was interviewed, so he is a real person, and he's gone. So, John Titor, he's from the year 2036. He showed up in the chat rooms in 1999. He says, "Hi, my name is John Titor, and I'm from the year 2036. I am a time traveler." Now, he told us a lot about what would happen to our country, since he was born and raised in America, born and raised in Florida, to be specific. And some of his predictions have come true, others have not. But the ones that have come true are rather impressive and scary. So let me give you some background on John Titor. In 1999, someone started posting on the internet in the Art Bell chat rooms, claiming that he was a time traveler, TT, time traveler. He first used the handle time travel _0, and then he later gave his name as John Titor. Now, the name John Titor is fake. There's no such person as Titor. There's no Mr. Titor. Just get on the internet and search for anyone with the last name of Titor, and you'll find no one with that last name. No family, no nothing. So he did it to give an actual name besides time travel _1, to give himself a name, but he wanted to protect himself in the future and his family. So at the time, the readings and postings about this time traveling, they were blown off, but people started to take it more seriously. Now, John Titor told about himself to make people feel warm, comfortable, and to believe who he was and where he came from. He says he was born here in the United States in 1998. So this is the year 2019. He's still around. He's still alive. I mean, he's not a full-grown adult, but he was born in 1998. And he has some childhood memories that he wants to share, such as he went to Disney World, Florida, at Christmas, and he went to Daytona Beach. And then when the civil conflict started and got worse, people generally decided to stay. Okay, so he's going to be talking about things here, predictions, and you will see he will be hitting on, okay, this was in 1999. And you already heard the predictions from the astrologers, what's coming up for us with these big planets. You've already heard from Martin Armstrong, from his Socrates computer system, what's happening with the economy and politics. You've heard from Penny Kelly, what's happening with our country and the breakup of it. You've heard from other people on the list of 6 here. So it's all here, these threads that are coming through. So this is in 1999. Casey was from 1932. This is from 1999. Armstrong's from 1989 and all the way through. So this stuff is very solid and accurate. So pay attention. Oh, by the way, for those people who might not want to hear something outside of their current beliefs or philosophies and stuff like that, you can close this video down now, because this may not agree with you. It may upset you. It may offend you. And I understand that, so you can just close the video now. Okay? Okay, so those of you who have stayed, let's continue. When the civil conflicts started and got worse, the civil conflicts as in civil war, astrological and Martin Armstrong, January of 2020, and these started to get worse, people generally decided to either stay in the cities and lose most of their civil rights, most of their freedoms, under the guise of security. You want to be safe with no freedom, okay, fine, or leave the cities for more isolated and rural areas. Our home was searched once, and the neighbor across the street was arrested for he doesn't know what. And when his father saw that neighbor be arrested, his father says, "We're leaving the city. We're out of here." John Titor says from the age of 8 to 12, he lived away from the cities and spent most of his time in a farm community with other families, avoiding conflict with the federal police and National Guard. Federal police, that's interesting. If you notice today, our policemen, our city policemen, have been, in a sense, federalized. They've been militarized. If you've seen some of the, and I have, if you've seen some of the city's civil policemen practicing their emergency drills, they look like army soldiers with all this protective gear and machine gun weapons. They look like the military. Let's fix this. What's wrong with this? Move this back. So, federal police and National Guard. By that time, it was pretty clear that we were not going back to what we had, and the division between the cities and the countryside was well defined. My father made a living by putting together 12-volt electrical systems and selling commodities like food goods up and down the coast of Florida. He spent most of his time helping his father. Now, the outright open fighting was common by then, and I joined a shotgun infantry unit in 2011. I served with the Fighting Diamondbacks for about 4 years. And the Civil War in America ended in 2015, so you can see that date is off. But maybe not by much. Anyway, the Civil War ended in 2015 when Russia attacked the U.S. cities, enemies. So it's not just willy-nilly any city. There must be some enemy that the Russian leadership saw in particular cities, and those were the cities they attacked. So this was unusual, and he had a bad childhood. But he says he wouldn't trade it for anything. And then he mentions that Africa is not a pleasant place to be in 2036, although he would characterize it that it is recovering in 2036. John Titor also mentions that in 2036, the music that we enjoy now is quite popular and it's available. It's just not produced in anywhere near the same amount as it is today. There is a revival of local and classical music. Many people have learned to play their own instruments. not DVDs, not downloads onto our cell phones. He says he enjoys big band and classical. Now, John Titor predicted some things, and the dates are off. He did say, and I'll read more of them, he did say that television would go by the wayside. The mainstream news that we love so much would go by the wayside. He said that, and he said this in 1999, he said that individuals would be creating content that would be accessible via the internet. He didn't use the word YouTube, but he described how YouTube works today. He describes the content found on YouTube today. He said this in 1999. YouTube wasn't even invented until 2006. He also mentioned some other things, such as, he said, the 2016 elections are very pivotal and very critical. And Martin Armstrong's Martin Armstrong's graph also mentioned the phase transition in the year in October, November of 2016, which is a critical event. But John Titor also says the elections of 2016 were also a critical event, in that when she was not elected, it started the beginning of the Second Civil War in America. And of course people said, well, who's elected in 2016 and all of that. And he never gave a name or nothing like that. But he's used the words he, she, which is very unusual to say anything like that in the year 1999. But that's what he said in the chat room. In the 2016 elections, because of the person who didn't get elected, would start the Second American Civil War. Now, I did warn you, people who have an idea of their closely held beliefs about stuff of our politics, you can close the video now. Close it, because it gets worse. Okay. All right, you've been warned. Let me read some other quick predictions here for you, because some were way off and some were right on. The years, these guys can be off by years. Cliff High, his predictions, they can be off by months and years. Martin Armstrong, his are pretty precise to the day. Okay, Cliff High. War will slowly escalate over the coming years, culminating in World War III in 2015. Well, he's off about that. But war overall will escalate around the world. Russia launches a nuclear strike against the major cities in the United States. The United States counterattacks. The U.S. cities are destroyed along with the American Federal Empire. That's a weird thing to say. Why did he say that? American Federal Empire. He also says Omaha, Nebraska becomes the new U.S. capital after the World War. Okay, so we hear this again. The U.S. capital moving from Washington, D.C. area to the center of the United States. Penny Kelly was told this by the robes, the brown robes, the higher frequency entities who gave her this information in the 1980s, and it's in her book, Robes. And the U.S. will be divided into 5 regions, and the United States is still a viable entity after the war, and it considers changing its flag from 50 states to 5 states. Now, we've heard that from a couple of sources over the decades, so this information is pretty consistent. let's go on with some of the other predictions that John Titor delivered in the chat room in 1999. The basis of time travel will begin for you, for all of us, at CERN. Now, in 1999, we didn't know about CERN. All of us little people and stuff. We didn't know about CERN. We never heard of it before. So it kind of went over our head in the chat room. CERN? What's CERN? So it'll begin for us at CERN in about a year. So his timing was off. When they announced their ability to create micro-singularities and end in 2034 with the building of the first time machine. So we'll have time travel officially in 1934. John Titor is from 1936, so those numbers line up. So anyway, so he got that world line wrong, but the prediction is spot on. CERN's, and these are facts, CERN's Large Hadron Collider does indeed create tiny black holes, micro-singularities, which we never heard about in 1999. And it has been operational since the year 2008. So it wasn't in the year 2000, it wasn't in 2001, 2008. So, that's a prediction there. What else have we got? John Titor also said that there would be a decline of American freedom. He said this in 1999. By the way, because of this decline in freedom, he says in his timeline, 2036, he says every U.S. citizen carries the Constitution of the United States in their back pocket. It's only one page. It's easy. It's easy to carry around. So there's decline of American freedom. He says here, the president tries to hold the country together, but many of the administration policies drive a wedge into the Bill of Rights. And we don't know what administration that is, but we can speculate that in the year 2001, the Bush administration alone lended credence to this. Per the Department of Homeland Security, established brand new in the year 2002, and the quickly written and passed u.s.a. Patriot Act of 2001. Okay. Let's look more about time travel. The theory in physics in which multiple worlds simultaneously exist is right, says John Titor. The universe is made up of infinite world lines, where everything is possible and has a 100% chance of happening. Therefore, there are no paradoxes. And this proves that the Everett-Wheeler model is correct. You can look up the Everett-Wheeler model yourself. Let me read to you some more predictions of Americans' food and economy. And this is what John Titor posted in February of 2001 in the chat room. So there are there's some consistencies here with what Penny Kelly said from the robes information that was delivered to her in the 1980s. But this is in 2001. So I don't think John Titor read her book, Robes. So John Titor says the United States is still a representative republic in 2036, but it was touch and go there for a while. After the war, the U.S. had divided into 5 general areas based on their economic and defensive strengths. Many people blamed the government organization for the war, and the last Constitutional Congress was held in 2020 to officially scrap the Constitution and start over. Fortunately, this exercise in anger pointed out how hard it was to come up with anything better. It was decided the document wasn't at fault. Probably not. It's probably people who are at fault. You know, how they interpret it, how they fulfill it, observe it. Okay. As a result, there have been a few small changes to the Constitution and the executive branch, but you would easily recognize it. The average citizen is more educated about the Constitution and aware of the rights and responsibilities it gives them. You know, we used to be very well schooled in our rights and responsibilities of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. But you know, by chance, somehow, that was removed entirely from the school curriculum that we have today. So our 20s, our 20-somethings, 30-somethings, 40-somethings, they know next to nothing about this, about our rights and responsibilities under the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. The federal power has been decentralized, and the focus on daily politics is in the states' senates. Not the federal senates, the state senates. Probably, so if there are 5 states now that create or make up, that are called the United States or America, there are 5 senates, 5 separate senates with their own representatives. Federal law has also been streamlined, but much harder to change or make additions to. The year 2008 was a general date by which time everyone will realize the world they thought this is good. The year 2008, if you guys don't know this, 2008 was, the world they thought they were living in was over. And if you don't know that by now, it is. I mean, it's not going back to the way it used to be in 2000, 2001, etc. The Civil War, the Second American Civil War in the United States will start in 2004. He's off on that date. I would describe it as having a Waco-type event every month that steadily gets worse. The conflict will consume everyone in the United States by 2012 and end in 2015 with a very short World War III. And there's a question in the chat room from a person that says, which country gets the worst in the war? John Titor says, again, the entire world is affected as it is affected today. Just look at France. Just look at Britain, England. Even if you don't take a direct hit, dying crops and no water can ruin your day. Now, that was reflected in Penny Kelly's material that she wrote in her book titled Robes, from these higher entities, frequency entities who told her that stuff. So there's a problem with food. How many states are there? John Titor says, the states as you know them still exist, but their political power has been combined with other states around them. There are now 5 major geopolitical areas in the United States. The question, which states get the worst? John says, when you can't drink the water, it's bad everywhere. And a few more things that John Titor says, Man from the Future of 2036. He says, there's a question here, were only cities along the eastern port hit in the nuclear war or all over the country? John Titor says, mostly cities and large military areas in the entire country. Next question. Do companies like Microsoft, Yahoo, and other internet software companies still exist? John Titor says, no. Isn't that interesting? He said that in 1999. Do you know how many problems Google and Facebook and Microsoft and Yahoo and even YouTube are having? Oh, Microsoft and Yahoo. Yeah. The tech support and all that for Yahoo was offshore to India. Yeah. 6 years ago? So so Yahoo's had it rough. Next question. Was a lot of the United States young people, ages 18 to 24, age group, slaughtered in the war because of the draft? John Titor says, yes. Question. Does the government know there is time travelers going on? This is in 1999 this question was asked. John Titor says, in 2036, yes. And the last question, why were you selected to be a time traveler? What gave you special qualifications? And John Titor says, he is related to the key figure in the development of the IBM 51 computer. So he's related to one of the creators who worked at IBM, who developed the first portable computer in 1973 called the IBM 5100. And I think that portable computer weighed only 30 pounds. So those are some of the predictions by John Titor. You can see the thread that runs through all of these predictions given by these people using different methodologies. The consistency is scary, and they've been given over the decades. And I doubt that they all got together and shared information and said, this is what we're going to put out there. I doubt that. So I wanted to wrap it up with John Titor, since he touches on a lot of different points. Go out and read his transcripts. Get on YouTube. There are some people who read the entire 4 hours of transcripts to you. You don't have to read it yourself. And educate yourself about this. Know about this stuff. So these are the 6 videos of predictive content that's coming up for us, the United States, in this country, and a little bit in some of the other countries, but mostly the United States. So now you have the information with which to make an informed decision and to be psychologically prepared. If it doesn't happen, no harm, no foul. If it does happen, you are prepared psychologically and emotionally, and that's what we like to help to do here at Paranormal Talks. So thank you for joining us. You bless us by watching, and please like us in the buttons, and we will see you next time with other goodies for you. Thank you so much. This is JJ signing out.